Hello to the people following me. I am talking to you in the early mornings, like 7 a.m., 7:30 by now, from Mexico, Chiapas, where I'm up in the mountains. And I've just done a 10-day silent retreat. And I wanted to do this video as I just come out of the silence and come out of the experience. And I wanted to do a first-hand video sharing a little bit about my experience and about how this went. I don't know why I said it with that accent. Yeah, it's so weird to hear myself talk. We broke the silence yesterday, and it's when we broke the silence at the beginning, people were speaking, and I had my ears that were like really resonating, and it was very, very overwhelming. It's really quite funny. And we did a last sharing, and I yeah, so we did a last sharing and sharing at the end of the retreat where everybody shares about their experience when you're allowed to speak again. And it was just the weirdest thing to speak again and to connect to my voice, which is funny because I am so comfortable with speaking usually, but it just like 10 days of being in silence, yeah, just puts you in a different, put me in a different place. Like I had the feeling like I would not be able to reuse my voice. It was really closed and shut down, and I had this feeling of like, I don't know, I have images now as I'm speaking about it, about, I don't know if it's because I was in Poland before coming to Mexico, but like, you know, being in these concentration camps, it has nothing to do with this, but like, I just have these images of being in a concentration camp and just being, you know, secluded from your life and basically just closing up and feeling like your throat is never going to open again. So thankfully this experience has nothing to do with a concentration camp. I do want to say this. It was not a Vipassana. A lot of people do Vipassana. This is called Hidraya family, which is a branch from Hidraya that exists in Mazunte and in France. And it's a paying retreat, which I'm happy because also the Vipassana 10-day meditation is supposed to be very strict and very square, and the Hidraya family was very much connected to love. It was all about love, and actually the whole theme of the retreat was to reconnect to your heart. So between the lectures and the guided meditations and just the concept in general was come back to your heart, come back to your heart, come back to your heart. And which was perfect for me because I signed up here a week before it happened because I had a conversation with someone that I have been having a crush on and kind of figure out this is not going to work, and I was very disappointed, and I was just feeling like, ugh, I don't want my heart to close, and I want to start being attracted to different kind of people. Like, I really notice in my pattern, I mean, of course I still have Eden is outside of this pattern. I'm so blessed with this, but I have noticed that that I have a tendency to be really attracted to people who are just not available, and I feel this fear of intimacy, and I feel safe when the other person is more afraid of than me, because then I can let go, and if they're more comfortable, I feel like I have to protect myself. And I was just like, I feel like it's time to look at this. I feel like it's time to go a bit within. And I tapped retreat, and I tapped my next destination, which was San Cristobal, and it just happens that 3 days later there was a retreat happening. So I was like, perfect. And also it was nice because here the weather is way cooler than in most of Mexico, or most places I've been at least. And yeah, so it's been really, really nice. And actually it's been raining a lot, and it's been like stormy, and yeah. So the typical day is there's a gong at 6:30. So this is how we were communicating, basically with gongs. You arrive the first day. We spend 12 days here. So you arrive the first day, and you leave the last day, which is today, and in between you have 10 days. So the first day she came, and everybody arrives, and we're explained a bit how everything works, and we go through a first small meditation in the evening, and the dinner, and the morning after the silence starts. And from there you basically only communicate to the teachers or to the staff with notes if you have something about something happening for you that you need to talk about. And then so before every class is 10 minutes before every time we have to gather, there was a gong, and there was gongs for dinners and lunch, breakfast. So the typical day is typical day, every day was the same. 6:30 there's a gong, at 7 we start the meditation, at 9 we finish. From 9 to 10 we have breakfast. From 10 to 1 there's a mix of lectures and hatha yoga and meditation. From 1 to 4 you have lunch and break, and usually during that break I was sleeping. I was just going for, sometimes I went for a little walk or something like this, but most times I was just going to bed. This was exhausting, basically, to be meditating all the time. From 4 to 6:30 meditation, 6:30, 7:30 dinner, 7:30 to 10 Q&A, so people were writing down the questions that they might have, lecture, and meditation, final meditation. And then poof, time to sleep and do it all again the day after. So this was a really, really, really tough experience for me. Yeah, we were not allowed to look at each other or greet or do any kind of signs, of course not talk to each other. They put like little things in front of the mirror, so we didn't even look at ourselves. No phone, no smoking, no drinking, no sugar, no gluten, just random stuff. No contact with the outside world, and no tobacco. I have to say I smoked a couple of times, even though it was not allowed, but it was also not so strict like in a vipassana. They told us that we could, like, you know, if really we have a strong addiction, we can go out of this area and do our thing, which I did a few times. But it was mostly because I was missing like a little mental kick, like I was missing to be excited about something. I was missing this endorphin rush, and I didn't really have time to be bored because basically the schedule was so intense. There was always something, and like I said, when I was not in a class, I was sleeping or eating. And we were allowed to journal, which was, I wrote so much. Basically, I was talking to myself by writing, which is funny. But yeah, so it wasn't boring, but it felt so empty of anything. Like it just felt like nothing was happening, and the meditations, we were taught a few techniques, and yeah, I was just not really having very, very intense experiences in the meditation. Speaking of which, I have to change my seat. I was not having such intense experiences. I was really happy with myself for the discipline. I was like, good, I'm working on myself. I am working on my mental strength. I'm making myself do this. I am holding through the meditations, and also it was like the beginning, it was like by pieces. We didn't do suddenly 2 hours and a half. It was like the shortest was maybe a half hour, and like with breaks, until at the end there's no break. But yeah, I was the birds are blue here. How crazy is that? um, I got off track. What was I saying? Yeah, I wasn't having a deep experience in the meditation, and the lectures were a lot about non-duality and connecting to your essence, going back into the heart, and dissolving into your true self, and witnessing from afar what is happening in your persona, which was helpful, but it also felt like it's not exactly what I want to be doing. I wanted to connect to my human heart. So I was a bit conflicted between my personal agenda and trusting that I'm here for a reason and maybe this is going to teach me more than what I should. And it kind of feels like people come to this kind of retreat for enlightenment, basically, which is not what I was looking for, even though it's like, I mean, enlightenment sounds nice, but I also feel very attached to this human life, even though, as one of the teachers said, it's your, it's your humanity, it's your identity that's giving you so much pain and suffering, and this is what you don't want to let go of. So, I mean, there was food for thought. It was interesting. I was definitely, I was definitely touched by the whole experience. But I have to say that every day, even from day one, I was counting down the days till it's finished, and it was, yeah, maybe just day 5 and 6 and maybe 7 were the days that I was not really counting, but at the beginning I was counting hardcore, and at the end, the last few days, I was like, and I think day 2 and day 8 were the hardest mentally. Like day 2 felt like it was never ending, and I also had like experiences, like I had panic attacks in the meditations, and of course falling asleep and feeling angry and feeling super sad, and not so much happiness, blissfulness. I had a few like really cool meditation sessions where I was like imagining, like I did one session where the whole time I went back through my childhood home, and I was walking around the house and having memories coming up. So this was not the theme of the meditation at all, but I found it really interesting and entertaining, and just the way that, different people of my life come through my mind and through my heart, and feeling like what I cherish, what is important. It gives space, like what is important, what I had a lot of trouble to not think like, what am I going to be doing after this retreat? Because it was not the theme again, but I guess for me it was a bit of the theme as well, getting a bit clarity on what is to come. But it's also an escape route of looking into the future. So yeah, so not necessarily the smartest thing, but still, I'm quite happy because I have a lot of clarity on things. I think, I feel, and even though, wow, yesterday when we did the closing ceremony and everybody could share, I felt like my sharing was the stupidest sharing ever. I mean, I'm a good public speaker, but I was trying to stay connected to the heart. This was the whole idea: connect to the heart, connect to the heart. So I was trying to not speak from my mind, and my heart was like half closed, half open, half ugh, and yeah. So I tried to communicate a bit what I've been through, and it was not one of my best speeches, but this is not what it's about. It's not about, giving valeur, valorizing the ego, not making the ego feel good about itself. So, accepting what is. But it was really amazing to hear everybody experiences, to see the people. I mean, I was not having the easiest time not looking at people. Like, I really wanted to catch people's eyes sneakily. I also have to say, like, a few times in the meditations I was a bit like touching myself, because to stay awake, especially the first few days. I don't know if other people do this. Like, I feel like I have to share it because I've never heard someone say that, but honestly, staying like upright like this, if you're touching yourself, it gives a really good stimulation to stay awake. um, yeah, and I noticed by the end, because at the end I started looking a bit around in the meditation, I noticed that a lot of people were doing that, and I was like, shit, I hope nobody noticed that I was touching myself. Self-gratification and orgasm addiction. Ta-da! Oh yeah, because of course you're not allowed to have sex. Well, which makes sense, I guess. Yeah. So that was, yeah, so the last sharing was so nice. So nice to get to see the people, to get to know them a bit. Spending after the last night around the fire with a bit of music and singing and chatting and just having a wonderful time, and yeah, connecting to the people. I mean, I just feel like, I don't know if I would, I mean, maybe one day I'll do another silence retreat, but I feel like I, with no background, not no background in meditation, because I've done a lot of meditation in my life, but no, like, regular practice, I find that coming into this was difficult because it's like everything was like new, everything was going into like pushing myself, the food, the not talking, the being and not doing, everything was just, so meditation on top was like, it's a lot of new structure. So I would not recommend myself to redo this again, if I don't have a regular meditation practice. But then again, I signed up for this because I also wanted to get more self-discipline and yeah, basically get myself to okay, I'm gonna be ending this video, but yeah, I wanted to get a bit more discipline into my life and uh, you know, like learn a little bit to endure the harder moments as well, and not, well, we can see that the silence is over. It's weird. It's so weird to get out of the silence. Anyway, so I hope this video was interesting, and I'm sending you all lots of love. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.